So, welcome back to the Bodhicharyavatara teachings. We are going through the 8th chapter. In the beginning of 8th chapter, last time we just went through the first two lines about the importance of meditation and how both meditation and study are important. And first we have to understand how to practice, then with patience we have to practice, and that is meditation. Now, first we have to discuss what are the the opposite of meditation, or what are the problems when we do not meditate. What happens? Same numbers in when we don't meditate, then we become distracted. So here it says the last two lines of the first stanza. For those whose minds are slack and wandering, are caught between the fangs of the afflictions. If our mind becomes slack, means unguarded, or and distracted, wandering, if we cannot learn how to make our mind calm, how to control our mind, how to focus our mind, how to be mindful, then we get distracted. It means our mind is uncontrollably wandering all over the places, and we don't have any mindfulness or attentiveness, or without control. And when our mind becomes like that, and our mind are like that, our mind is like that at the moment, then we are caught between the fangs of affliction. It's like like a wild animal, say like a crocodile. It has big fangs, and then it's strong jaws, and then if they catch it like a shark, then it's very difficult, it's almost impossible to get out of that. So in the same way, we talk about in the beginning how the main causes of our suffering are afflictions, or the kleshas, negative emotions, and karma. So therefore, if our mind is completely under the control of the negative emotions and ignorance, what we call in Buddhism kleshas, then we are like in the fangs, in between the fangs of a great ferocious animal like a shark or a crocodile, and so therefore we keep on suffering and we have no freedom. So therefore, how do we make it possible that we free ourselves from the control or complete kind of being under the power of klesha, negative emotions and ignorance? We need to cultivate a state of mind which is, with which we can have less distraction, more mindfulness, and awareness and clarity, and freedom. Freedom from afflictions, and our mind. We can have freedom. Means that we can do with our mind what is most useful and beneficial for us. Not that we have to run after something that our mind poisons demand, or mind poisons. We don't become addicted to certain way of reacting or certain way of doing, and things like that. But we become free. Now, here, then the method, how to do that. Ludon sen member number in one menjungo. Tevin jiten ponja hi number to pa yon sutor. So that means in solitude, the mind and body are not troubled by distraction. Therefore, live this worldly life and totally abandon mental wandering. Now, in order to bring that kind of freedom, and freedom from the distraction, if we need to kind of work on our distractions, then we need to cultivate what we call the solitude of body and solitude of mind. Because if there is, the three things can bring klesha or negative emotions. It is said, "Chaji pawa mayi to yul ni nyevar nepa tsujil maji izeli." That is a kind of a very, very important quotation from Abhisama, from the Abhidharma Kosha, and many Abhidharma teachings say this. That the root negative, root klesha is still not abandoned. When we have root or dormant klesha, that it is not completely, even if our mind is at the moment not controlled, or not too much with the negative emotion, not too much strong kind of passionate negative emotions, but the root is there. Taji is that. Taji is. And then the object is there. There is a provocation, there is an object. Say like we have negative emotions, we have ignorance, and therefore aversion, attachment, this thing. And then because of that root is there, that seed is there in us, and so therefore if somebody does or says something, or something happens that, a provocation. So if that provocation is there, that object is there, presence, somebody says something unpleasant, or that makes me angry or upset. Now these two, And then there's third thing necessary. Even if my my root negative emotion is there, and even if somebody says or does something to provoke me to become angry or upset, unless the third one is there, it wouldn't bring out. I wouldn't get totally, angry or upset. But that is my wrong way of reacting. The wrong way of reaction happens. So when these three things happen, then my mind becomes completely affected or infected by the negative emotion. And that negative emotion, sooner than later, controls me, and then I react in that way, and that becomes stronger and stronger. So therefore, if I can somehow make my mind free from any three of that, the first is very difficult in the beginning, it's not possible, but second too, So if I make my mind in solitude, means like, or my body in solitude, like, I kind of create a situation for me where there's not so much distractions, or create a mental solitude inside my mind, that I'm not focused on all of these provocations, then, if my mind and body is in solitude. Solitude means not bombarded by all the negative things, are not troubled by distraction. Therefore, live this worldly life and totally abandon mental wandering. Now this, what you mean to say by this is that two things we need to know. So, what do you mean by solitude of the body? Means getting too much engaged in too many activities, where there is lots of provocations for anger, attachment, aversion, all kind of things. The less we can create, the better is our mind, more calm, more. And not only that, even if we cannot do that in this world nowadays. It's very difficult to be free from all these things. But if we can make our mind not too much thinking or too much engaged in all kind of difficulties and problems and interact and things like that. Let our mind more calm and more clear, and not focus on all the troubles and all the problems and all the possibilities, and all the things that we want, all the things that we don't want, and all kind of things. If we can allow our mind to be a little bit more, in a peaceful state, and create a peaceful state for our body and a peaceful state for our mind. If we can do that, this is this, of course, first when we train, we have to do that. because we are, our mind is very distracted, and our, we get, we are addicted to react and addicted to, to be too much wandering around and things like that. So to train, say like when you meditate, we have to try to find a little bit of a nice or quiet room, or quiet corner when there's not too much noise, and there's not too much distraction, there's not too much distraction, too much people talking or working or making noise or things happening, and then if you have a room, make it very inspiring, quiet, calm, and if there is a corner also the same way, nice set, inspiring kind of photos or pictures or whatever, music or whatever, or no music. And in the same way, the mind also, not think about all the problems and all the difficulties, or, create a kind of solitude mind. So when we create this, and we sit then kind of in a peaceful way, clear way, little bit mindful, naturally our mind starts to calm down, start to become. And this, if you can do it for a few seconds, few minutes, as long as possible, as long as our time is set, if we learn how to be in peace, how to be in tranquility, in calmness and clarity, and not always thinking about and concentrated and focused on our problems and difficulties and pain and things like that, even for 1 minute, we get some kind of understanding, some kind of confidence that it is possible to make our mind calm. And this is how to train. And then afterwards, slowly, then we can train. If we are a little bit more trained, then we have to do it in where there is a little bit more, distractions around you, and a little bit more noise, and a little bit more, and if we can slowly do this, then, we have to try that even the environment, even if it is not so peaceful and not so, solitude, not so quiet, that we can maintain that quietness from within. That means then we are progressing very well. But we cannot do it right from the beginning. So therefore, to create that, that's why we always, people always recommend solitude place, solitude, a retreat, whether it's, few minutes of meditation, or, 1 or 2 days of retreat, or a weekend of retreat, or some week or month or whatever, is to start to try to train, because that is how we have to begin to train. So therefore, to having these two things, create a solitude of body and solitude of the mind. Solitude means, a kind of environment that our body is not too much disturbed, and also my mind is not too much disturbed. So there are two ways to create it. One is to create the whole environment around us, and second is to create it within your own mind, your own mind, that you don't listen, you don't look, you don't, kind of think yourself, and you don't even if there's something going on, how much I'm disturbed by something. It depends on how much I focus on that, so therefore, if I don't focus, I don't get distracted by it. If I don't mind, then also I'm not distracted. I know this very well because, when I was studying, when I was young, the whole family was around me. Sometimes 20 people, 10 people, children, and all kind of people, and they make all kind of noise. And if I learn how not to listen, then